Good evening and a very, very, very warm welcome to you wherever you may be. You're tuning in to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It's episode 44, and what an important episode tonight is going to be. An absolute momentous occasion in more ways than one. My name is Tonci Prusac, and I'll be joining you over the next hour and a half. And joining me, as he does week in, week out, my co-host Steve Curtin. We're trying something a little bit different. I seem to have grown a couple of inches over the last week or so, but slightly different camera angles than what you're not, Steve. How are you, mate? How's things?
Yeah, doing well, thanks, Tonci. And I thought the stand-up desks had sold out across Geelong, but it looks like maybe you've found yourself one there, or you've just decided to change up the approach a little bit. But yeah, welcome to you, Tonci, and thanks for having us again, and welcome to everyone tuning in at home to the Geelong Region Soccer Show, the show that is 100% free this week of any branch stacking. And how are you doing yourself, Tonci?
Well, you'd like to think that it's free of any branch stacking. Mate, very good, very good. It seems to me, we keep saying week in, week out, we keep saying the light at the end of the tunnel is fast approaching. You know, we can see the promised land, and it looks like we will be playing football in some shape, way or another. This time now it's in July. Got to be excited about that. Not everyone is. Some people already have decided, enough's enough, and I can get that. That some of the information and the news coming in from Football Victoria just wasn't probably enough to be able to make a decision. We'll find out about a little bit more about that. And speaking a little bit of what's going on, etc. Big news, mate. Big news regarding our future. Do we disclose that now, or shall we leave it for the news desk, Steve?
Well, we've got a lot coming up to get through tonight, including 3 guests, so we might just break the news now. As of next week, the Geelong Region Soccer Show, we've got a new day and a new time. It's going to be moving to, as of next week, Monday nights at 7 p.m. So we look forward to next week premiering the show on a new evening, a new time, and hopefully it'll work out well with everyone's training programs as well as they're resuming training at their local clubs. So very excited about that and looking forward to being on air in just 6 days' time.
Yeah, there you go. Look, we've got some good graphics, and already we've stuffed up a little with those graphics. We are every Monday night, Geelong Regional Soccer Show, but it's not being streamed live at 6 p.m. like it says down the bottom. It's in fact at 7 p.m. So a little bit later for all you commuters and all you people rushing home from work and whatever. You'll have plenty of time to be able to just get home and do what you got to do and what you're not and all of that kind of stuff. But the good thing is that now it's a night when it's traditionally not a training night, although I'm sure there will be a few people wanting to catch up on what they've missed out on. But Monday nights, folks, from 7 p.m. Now, Steve, what I'm really excited about this is that once the season starts, our Monday night shows will not just be a magazine-style issues, latest news, views, and etc., but it'll also be somewhat of a de facto results service as well. So that is going to be pretty exciting, I think.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. It's the exciting prospect that will be coming to you the day after local matches have taken place after such a long time. It's going to be really exciting to be able to talk about what's happening on the field again. And just had some correspondence from some people who will be training on Monday nights, and we do apologise, but of course you can always catch up with the show after training on Facebook or on our YouTube channel as well, which if you haven't subscribed to, get over there and give that subscribe button a tap.
Now, before we do get into the news desk, and as you said, Steve, so much happening, just talking about our the YouTube channel. Look, unfortunately, we had a challenge. A challenge was set. We went up against those guys from the Football Out West show, and unfortunately, Geelong Region Soccer Show came out second best. We lost, unfortunately, 23-34. So in the end, it was quite a convincing win to Football Out West as far as the number of subscribers. but it's never too late to join up. And speaking of the YouTube channel, each week is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Last week's show, which was devoted to Breakwater Eagles themed show, it was in fact our third most watched YouTube episode this year. And it was also the 7th most watched on Facebook last year. So it was interesting because our numbers on the night, live-wise, weren't the best. And we realised this had to come down to the fact that a lot of people are training now on a Tuesday night. But the numbers just dramatically picked up in the ensuing days afterwards. And, I think we more than doubled the amount of people that watched us on the live watched us as a replay. So that's another one of the reasons why we've been, I suppose, compelled to act. And look, initially Monday night was always going to be our night. That was the night we at Football Nation Radio we went to air. So we're kind of going back to our original time that we were planning on going, Steve.
Yeah, Back to the Future is the term that's been used in a lot of workplaces, and also in this one here at the program. And just to go back on those two tough characters that present the Football Out West show, I know our Facebook page on the Geelong Region show is in front there on Facebook likes.
Yeah, that's right. The Geelong show has been around for a little bit longer, and what we're gonna do is, as Steve takes a quick drink because there is a lot to get through tonight, we're going to now go very, very quickly into the news desk, and stay tuned.
All right, and welcome to this evening's news update. We'll start with the latest announcements from Football Victoria, as we seem to do almost each week. After Sunday's announcement from Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews on the next phase of the easing of the COVID-19 restrictions, Football Victoria yesterday confirmed that this now means resumption dates as follows for community sports. So we're looking at Monday, the 22nd of June, which is coming up very fast. And that is 18 years and under players can resume contact training and competitions. So some really good news there for the juniors, the under 18 years players. But for seniors, Monday the 13th of July will be the date to allow adults to participate in contact training. The following week, Monday the 20th of July, will be the date where adults can begin to resume contact competitions. So the adults will be waiting a little bit longer yet. It's only a 1 week sort of buffer there between the resumption of contact training and contact competitions, which could see the start date pushed back a little bit further beyond that date of Monday, the 20th of July. Also, from the 22nd of June, clubs can also access change rooms and showers. Club rooms can be open for up to 20 people per indoor space. Gatherings will also be permitted, but people must abide by gathering restrictions. Spectators must not be in groups of greater than 20 and must adhere to social distancing requirements around the ground and venue. But good that we can have people gathering at least in small groups at venues again, Tonci, and we've got some sort of hard and fast dates there as well, so people can start planning their schedules based around those dates.
Yeah, look, there's going to be obviously changes and what you're not. Full contact training permitted as of the 22nd of June for 18 years and under. Look, I'm told from good sources that the NPL juniors are unlikely to start that week, and it's more than likely they'll be starting, I think it's the 4th of July or thereabouts, whatever it is. And no doubt I would say that the community juniors as well will be starting then. Maybe the mini Roos might start that week. So the 22nd of June, I think, is a Monday or something like that. So probably whatever that Sunday is, 26th or something like that. Haven't got a calendar in front of me, but you'd think that, yeah. With the seniors, that's another kettle of fish, I suppose. 13th of July, or the week commencing the 13th of July, adult contact training. And we've, Football Victoria has said in past correspondence that it would need 3 weeks pre-season, at full contact for the juniors and 4 weeks for the seniors. So does that mean that the seniors will more than likely then be commencing sort of around about the 10th of August, more than likely? Possibly. So whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I guess then it depends on, one, how many teams are going to actually field, or how many clubs are going to field teams. And Steve, I think the deadline was yesterday, wasn't it?
I believe so, yeah. I haven't double-checked that one, but I did hear that yesterday was a time frame for declaring an interest for your teams.
Yeah, so look, I think then the next step obviously is to know how many teams per division or competition, and then fixtures can be done. So whether it's going to be a full season, so home and away, once again, depending on the number of teams in the division. Then the other thing to take into account as well is will it, if that's the case, if there are too many teams, i.e. 12 teams, will they then just have an 11-round season where everyone plays each other once? Obviously, state leagues and whatnot, they won't have finals, but the local competition, will the finals go ahead? So look, one thing is for certain, the under-7s, the under-9s and the under-11s, as far as mini roos, will not be a hub this year. It will all be home and away, obviously, to try and quell the number of spectators in the one area. So I guess that's is it a good thing or a bad thing? As a parent of mini roos aged kids, I can see there are good things and there are bad things. Once again, it's going to all come down to logistics and schedules and what you're not. But it is a strange year that we find ourselves in this year. So yeah. Will be interesting, Steve. What else is happening?
It will be. Well, big news has been breaking over the last day or so is that the A-League is finally coming back, slightly later than the other major football codes at the professional end of the spectrum of our game. Football Federation Australia yesterday announced that an extension of the Hyundai A-League season until 31st of August has been formalised after discussions reached an agreement between the PFA, the clubs and representatives of the Hyundai A-League. Our region's club, Western United, will be involved in the competition's return match on Thursday, the 16th of July against Melbourne Victory at Amy Park. The revised draw for the remaining 27 matches of the regular season will see matches contested over a period of 28 days, followed by the 5 final series matches. FFA Head of Leagues Greg O'Rourke said, "We look forward to continuing discussions with our broadcast partners regarding broadcast details of all matches." In that window of matches, 28 days, Western United will have 6 matches to play, which is the equal most, along with Sydney FC, Wellington and Perth. Victory have 5 games to be played in that time, while Melbourne City just have the 3. Perth and Wellington will complete their remaining home matches at venues in New South Wales. And a bit of information from Western United this afternoon for fans. They say, "We are still working with our broadcast partners, Fox Sports and the ABC TV, to determine the next steps. We will update you on this as soon as possible, as well as any possibility of fans being able to attend matches live." So there's still a bit to be done there with regards particularly to the broadcasting of those matches. But the good news is that the A-League will be back.
It will. And look, that Thursday night blockbuster, what a way to bring the to restart the season. And if they can get that on Foxtel or streaming or whatever the case may be, and obviously they'll probably have a certain amount of spectators. They're saying, what is it, 1/4, 25% capacity. So what's Amy Park hold? 30,000. So you'd probably think maybe
31 and a half. Yeah.
31. So you're probably looking at about 7.5 to 8,000 thereabouts, whatever, would be able to go max, and they'll fill that up easily if that's the case. Then the situation is obviously if it's on Fox Sports and if they can, if they can tie up those loose ends as far as the broadcast is concerned, then I tell you what, you would think that would be a ratings winner. The first game back in such a long time. Geez, it'd have to be, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's that appetite that gets created over such a long wait, and people yearning to see football again in this country, particularly the popular clubs in a local state-based derby, and the victory with new coach, former player Grant Brebner in the dugout as well. So there'll be plenty to talk about there. Also, Western United. They had a bit of a flat spot, but their last two games, they scored, I think, 11 goals in their last two games before the
Yep.
break. So they were firing before everything shut down.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now, we mentioned our guests for tonight.
Our guest for tonight, so just
Let's
a couple of
mention
news
them.
items to go.
Ones. Yeah,
We'll run through them. Yeah, we'll run through them. So tonight, from Geelong Rangers, we're going to speak to Colin Hamilton, and he's going to fill us in on a bit of advice on things including strength and conditioning for players returning to training and plays. That's going to be good to have a chat with Cole. Also, Bell Park President Rose Pirrottina will be joining us, and she's involved in a very good community initiative that's coming up later this week. And also Michael Parker from Armstrong United, who will speak more about a decision that's come from the growth area-based club on Sunday night that's certainly been in the headlines this week in community sport in Geelong.
Yeah, apparently it's going to be in tomorrow's Geelong Advertiser as well. And it has made it onto the online edition of the Geelong Advertiser. Armstrong United explains decision to withdraw from local season. Well, you don't have to wait for tomorrow's Geelong Advertiser. You'll find all about it later tonight. So a bumper edition and a big, big shout out, a big cheerio before we go on to the rest of the news desk, because there is so much to get through, is Steve, we've got our very first number one ticket holder, our first member of the Geelong Region Soccer Show. And it's Joe Pino. A lot of people know Joe. He's very, very well known up at the Bell Park Sports Club, and he's been involved with the Mini Roos as a coach for several years there. He's become our first member, and he's and added to that, he's become a gold VIP member. So a huge congrats and a high five to Joe Pino for being our inaugural member. You too can become your member of the Geelong Region Soccer Show and show your support. Visit the following website. All the details are down below: www.patreon.com/Geelong Region Soccer Show. And some of the things that you'll get is an exclusive members only newsletter. You will also be able to, we will acknowledge you, put your name up in lights like we have with Joe every show as well. And on top of that, you'll also, if depending on which category you are, you'll also be able to nominate your favorite club, and we will do a feature in the club focus segment of your club. So yeah, that would be also something to look forward to. So we urge all fans of the Geelong Region Soccer Show to become a member and make this truly your show, because it will only get bigger and bigger, certainly once the season starts. Steve, well, I'm going to take a break.
Yeah, absolutely.
What other news is happening?
I was just going to second that. Tremendous news from Joe. So, yeah, thanks very much for your support. It's very, very welcome.
Hello?
Hello.
Yep, we're back on here. Okay.
We're still going? Okay.
Yeah, is there anything else happening in the world of football?
Yeah, well, we've got to talk about Armstrong United, who became the first club in the region on Sunday night to announce their withdrawal from all competitions, including both juniors and seniors, for the season 2020. The statement released by Armstrong United, the Pelicans, included the following. Put simply, we weren't willing to risk the health and well-being of our players and families. We weren't willing to enter teams this week, as required by Football Victoria, without any confirmation of season start or length. We aren't willing to ask our players to pay for registration, with the above all still to be determined. Last week, we conducted a survey of players and parents, and with 70% of players supporting a cancellation of the season and regroup for the pre-season in preparation for season 2021. So that news came out on Sunday evening around dinner time, and it certainly shocked a few people around town. But it seems like they have canvassed their members there and come together to make a decision. But we'll talk more to Michael a little bit later in the show about that one.
That we will, and Mike will be coming on a little later on in the program. Our first guest will be Colin Hamilton, who will be talking about a very important thing is injury prevention and getting back to I guess basics after this post-COVID era. And he's a personal trainer and a strength and conditioning coach, as well as a real rugged defender at Geelong Rangers. Don't go away. You're tuned into the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. You're with Steve and myself. Steve, how are you? How's things?
Good, mate. Good. Just ready for our array of guests to come on.
And we'll introduce our next guest, and he's just going to come on now. Our first guest tonight is considered a real tough character on the field, a tough tackling defender with a take-no-prisoners attitude. He is that typical Scotsman that every player wants on his team. Off the field, things couldn't be more different. The situation could not present a starker contrast if it wanted to.
He's a personal trainer who specialises in strength and conditioning. All this gentle giant wants to do is help people. If you're a player or the parent of a young player tonight, Colin Hamilton is going to help you to do the best to prepare your body for the rigours of competitive football following the recent COVID lockdown and the over-reliance on non-contact football-related activities such as watching Netflix docos or playing Xbox and PlayStation to get our football fixes.
Mate, how are you? Colin, welcome to the show. Hello, Colin. Are you there? Can you hear us? Hello, Colin. He can't seem to hear us at the moment, unfortunately. We've got vision, but we just can't. We don't have.
We can see him.
Yeah, he just can't hear us. We can see him, but for some reason we can't seem to hear him. Let's try and bring him back on. Colin, how are you? Can you hear us? Well, we seem to be having technical problems with Colin. Hello. A young footballer.
Oh, hey, Tonci, how you doing?
Good. You're back on board. How are you? Mate, we had some audio problems. We could see you there. I think we could hear you. You just couldn't hear us. But
I can hear you now.
We're back on deck. Mate, tell us a little bit about your story and your journey as a football fanatic and personal trainer growing up in Scotland, and how you ended up in Australia, here in our fine city of Geelong, and your current playing involvement at the Geelong Rangers. Give us a bit of a background to who Cole Hamilton is.
I met a girl overseas, and she was from Geelong, and I moved over here pretty much for that reason, and that didn't work out, which is fine. But the first week that I got over here, I got introduced to Geelong Rangers, and but I haven't really, apart from one season I went to Carryo, like the whole time that I've been here, I've pretty much been playing for Rangers. So yeah, it's just, I've loved the club. I've loved playing soccer, so it's just been great. Like, it's been a great part of my life since I've been in Geelong, and the whole soccer community in Geelong's just brilliant. Absolutely love it. Like, it's really competitive and it's really good. I like it.
Very good. Now, Cole, it's Steve here. I hope you can hear me nice and clearly.
We can hear you, mate. We can hear you.
Good stuff.
Okay,
so yeah,
good.
that's pretty much it, mate. To be honest, like, since I've been here, I've been working as a personal trainer as well.
So were you a qualified personal trainer in Scotland, or you gained your qualifications here?
I got so I went to uni, when I was in Scotland, and I did sport and physical activity at uni. And when I graduated from that, I was already working in a gym when I was studying as well. And when I graduated, I started full-time working in a gym. And I was doing that for about 2 years before I moved over to Australia. And then I worked in the same place for about 8 years, just over 8 years over here initially when I got here. And then I just recently changed gyms as well. So now I'm working down at the training room in North Geelong with Steve Moxon and Lena, his wife, and stuff like that. So.
And how's that going? Oh, obviously it was a bit difficult now with the COVID era, but are you enjoying that?
Well, it's great down there. It is brilliant. It has been hard. Obviously, the gym's closed, and literally found out about it on like the Sunday. And then my clients that I had on the Monday, I had to call up and cancel sort of thing. But it's crazy. Like I'm quite lucky that I got onto it straight away, and called like most of my clients within the first 2 or 3 days. Or pretty much all of my clients within the first 2 or 3 days. And I actually done my first online session on the Tuesday. So the gym was closed on the Monday, and I ran my first online session on the Tuesday. So like I've really, apart from that one day, I haven't really missed much in the way of training. The only good thing about it is I haven't had to start at 6 in the morning, which is brilliant. But probably going to have to start that back. Like the gym's open up next week. So I'm probably going to have to start back that next week when we go back.
Getting used to those early morning starts. Steve,
I don't know if I've ever got used to them, to be honest. But yeah, so
Cole,
I love it. Personal training's been great, especially in Australia. As people really seem to take more care of themselves and put a big focus on health and fitness. So it's really a great job to have out here.
Steve, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah, Cole, how has your fitness routine changed for yourself during the COVID era, and perhaps have you discovered any new hobbies to keep yourself amused in this time?
Tonci, I can't hear Steve, by the way, if I'm supposed to hear him.
Oh, there's an issue there. Oh, goodness me. Steve, what was that question? Repeat that and I'll pose the question to Cole.
Yeah, I was just asking Cole how his fitness routine has changed during the shutdown time, and if he's perhaps discovered any new hobbies to keep himself amused during this time.
So, mate, how have you been keeping fit and active during the shutdown? Have you had to change your routine, and have you perhaps discovered any new hobbies?
Well, I've been really fortunate. Sorry, Tonci, I don't know if you can still hear me, but
yeah, I can see you. Yeah, I can hear.
I'll keep talking anyway.
Keep talking.
I've been really lucky that a friend of mine, who's a chippy, built a squat rack for me the first week that it all shut down as well. And how you doing, mate? You're back again.
Yep.
Yeah, so a mate of mine built a squat rack for me. We went to Bunnings like the first day, got some stuff and made like a kind of makeshift squat rack. And I went to Melbourne and hired out some weights from a guy that I used to do personal training with up there. So like pretty much the whole time it's been going, I've had like a gym in my garage, so I haven't really missed much in the way of training. I'd be lying if I said I was training as hard as what I had been beforehand.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harder when try to force yourself through it on your own. You know, it's good having a training partner. So I've missed that side of it, but I've got more into like distance running as well, which I hadn't really done too much of for quite a few years. So that's been horrible. I've absolutely hated that. But apart from that, like my training routine's just kind of stayed the same. I've kind of used it as like a good opportunity to build better habits as well, though, to be honest, like just for developing health, you know, like making sure I keep myself healthy. So I made like a little checklist of things that I try and do.
Yep. Okay, mate. Now, look, the return to training from the COVID pandemic shutdown is really an unprecedented set of circumstances that coaches now find themselves, and obviously personal trainers as well, as you've indicated. And with the news over the weekend of likely restart dates, things on the training track surely are now going to hot up. But no doubt that makes way for caution in terms of obviously a return to match fitness, which is obviously something that we're all concerned about now. What are the key details, in your opinion, regarding player conditioning and injury prevention at this time?
Well, especially for like injury prevention, I think it's important to like know like the mechanisms for injury. So like what actually causes it, and most injuries for footballers happen during games. So we're actually quite lucky when you're going back to training that there is still physical distancing, because it takes away some of the impact that you might get, from like slide tackles and 50-50 challenges and things like that. But that's one factor to it. The other things that come into it for injury prevention, you're looking at like, do players have a lack of mobility? And when we're talking about mobility, the key areas for footballers, hips and ankles. You want to make sure your hips and your ankles are mobile. Thoracic spine comes into it as well. It's just the middle part of your back. As long as you're mobile in those three areas, that's going to be pretty good for you. And then a lack of strength as well has a big effect on whether they're likely to get injured. Now, if you've been doing not a whole lot over the time when you're not training, then there's a good chance that you're having a reduction in strength. If you manage to do some type of strength training, that's great, because like strength plans in of themselves can help reduce injury rate by about 50%. So
speaking of that, Cole, I had a really, really funny incident. I'm not going to mention names, but it was this is mini ruse. So 9-year-old, 10-year-olds. Last Friday we had our second training session, and one of the kids turns up. It's his first training session. Comes up to me, goes, "Coach, I'm injured." I go, "Injured? This is your first training session back?" He goes, "Yeah, I pulled a muscle." I go, "What, at school?" He goes, "No, at home." I go, "How'd you do that?" Because I was sitting in the same place for like too long. I go, "Don't tell me you're playing Xbox for 3 hours." He goes, "Not Xbox, PlayStation." I go, yeah, so that is so true what you actually say. We've really become weakened as well anyway, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely. So like having a good strength plan would definitely help. But then you're looking at other things, other factors, like having even the correct footwear for like kids coming back. If they've had 12 weeks off, it doesn't mean that they're not growing. So they might have had 12 weeks of growth there, that then they're having to change their boots, and they might have some that are too big for them or too small. So having the right footwear makes a big difference as well. But then as soon as you start back at training, one of the main things is most people, if they've been doing anything, it's probably been running. And it's not like true strength training, so lifting heavier weights for fewer reps. It's probably more reps and things like that, which is, to me, more endurance training than anything else. And all of this stuff actually helps build your aerobic system, so aerobic capacity, aerobic power. And there's not too much in the way of anaerobic work getting done. So when I say aerobic work, I mean people always talk about lactic acid. You do a couple of sprints and your legs feel heavy. This is like local muscle fatigue that the players are going to experience, and when that fatigue sets in, you're obviously at a higher risk of injury as well. And not only that, like if you haven't been doing anything, your skills aren't really going to be there. So your first touch is going to be heavy. You might be passing the ball a little bit out of place. All of these, even how you read the game, is off a little bit, and all of these things can increase your risk of injury when you come back. So getting back into it, like some of the best things that you can do is just be aware of that. Get a really good solid warm up. That's one of the best things you can do. Like we spoke about the FIFA 11 plus. Sorry. So if coaches don't know about that, like I think you can get a link for that.
Oh, Google it, FIFA 11 plus, and Google it. It really is. It was obviously FIFA have come up with this, and it's very good for injury prevention. Now, Steve's back with us. I'm sure he's nodding, so that must mean we can hear him. Steve, can you hear us?
I mean, I can hear you guys fine. I still can you hear me, Cole?
Sorry, mate. Must be trouble on my end.
It must be. Oh well.
Do you want me to try and leave? I'll try and leave and come back again, Tonci.
Do that, and then we'll try and get you back. All right, look, I've got Steve's questions here in front of me. So, Colin, what are some of the key mistakes that coaches need to avoid as players return to training and start to prepare for games later next month? So this is now message to coaches.
For coaches, well, some of the key things, I reckon, just doing too much too soon. trying to make up for lost time. You just can't make up for that lost time. You just need to kind of let it go. If we've got like 6 weeks or something till the start of the season, you just need to actually. I think one of the best things coaches can do is have a plan, whatever that plan is. If you have a plan, then that's going to help you get the players fit for the season. And I think the best way to create that plan is start with the end goal in mind. So what do they need to do in 6 weeks' time at round one? I mean, I don't know if they're actually shortening the games or if it's going to be 45-minute halves that we're playing or not, but even if it's a shortened version, I've got Steve now. How you doing, mate?
Hello, Steve. Talk.
Hey, mate, can you hear me?
How you doing? So,
good.
Doing too much too soon. Having a plan,
that
makes a difference. Also, like the drills that they're going through, I think starting off with closed drills would make a big difference rather than like open chaotic drills. So if you're thinking like more, if they're going to be doing sprint drills, having a start and a finish point for them makes a big difference. Or having cones where they're actually going to change direction rather than having to react to other players, that makes a big difference as well. And that's some of the biggest ones as well. But just making sure you get those big rocks, like making sure you get a good warm up, making sure you get a good cool down. Avoid testing as well. That's one of the other ones. You really. Oh, sorry, Tonci, you've gone again. I don't know if
I put you on solo. No. What happens is sometimes
I can't see Tonci now, but I can see you.
Yeah, we put you on solo so that you can see us. Yeah. Oh, goodness me. Don't worry, you can see us. Yeah.
So what was I saying? Avoiding testing. So try not to test the players straight away off of the bat. That'd be a good idea. And when you do get a chance to actually go like full contact again, I think the easy thing to do would be chuck players into like a full game, but you don't necessarily want to do that either. It might be better to have more sort of small-sided games. Like I'm thinking like maybe even 4 10-minute quarters or something like that at 11 aside, or even a 7-a-side tournament might be a good idea. Sorry, Steve, I can't see Tonci now. I don't know if I don't know what he's saying.
He's hiding. Hopefully he's still
back now.
No, every so often I have to reboot, reset it, But there you go. We're all back now. Sometimes, yeah. Steve, you wanted to ask the next question.
Okay, so we just talked about mistakes that coaches can make. I think next thing we're going to talk about was what about the players and parents of young players? What is the onus on them to ensure their own well-being at this time and their health and fitness, I suppose, in a footballing sense?
Well, now's like a great time for all players and even young players as well to start some type of strength training. I mean, gyms open back up on Monday. If you're not able to get into a gym, like YouTube and Google are brilliant for finding starting strength programs and things like that. So it's really easy to find some of those stuff there, and it's a great time to start doing it. One of the other big things is just recovery. So especially when you're looking at like older players and younger players, but everyone in between, but you really want to try and hit those big rocks. So when I'm talking about recovery, I'm talking about sleep, nutrition, and state of mind. So with sleep, making sure you get 8 hours minimum a night. With your nutrition, staying hydrated, like minimum of 2 litres of water a day. Making sure you're eating regularly so you're never really getting hungry. And then the last one, obviously, is state of mind, which is just keeping yourself in a good, healthy state of mind. And some of the things that you can do for that are like, there's a few apps that you can actually get on your phone, like Smiling Mind and different things like this. And there's a whole heap of other stuff. Like basically, when I think of like improving my state of mind, I'm thinking of reducing stress. So anything that you can do to help reduce stress makes a big difference. And the thing about stress as well is it accumulates and it does not differentiate. So what I mean by that is mental stress, physical, emotional, all of these things accumulate. So you really want to make sure you're on top of that and reducing stress as much as possible. Even the gym and training, these things are stressors on your body. So you have to have ways of taking that stress down. because there's only so much that your body can handle before it starts to break down.
Good.
So yeah.
Goodness me, I tell you what, look, this is not just aimed at soccer players. This is just aimed at people in general, I tell you what.
100%.
So this is absolutely fantastic. Mate, we've got to move on very, very quickly.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell you what, later on when we do talk to Mick Parker, he'll be talking about mental health as well. Not just the football side of things, but he's certainly involved in the read the play. So for him, mental health is also very, very important, which is another avenue, element that we've seen so important, especially, unfortunately, tragically with some of the young people here in Geelong. But let's talk about the Rangers, mate. Recently, we had your senior coach, Steve Tillinge, on here. He's regarded as a real tough taskmaster. Has training been pretty tough since you have resumed after the COVID?
It has. It's been really tough. It's been really difficult. But
in fact, you need to be heading off very shortly to training. Is that right?
But I'm hoping you can stay on here for longer, so I don't need to go.
Hence the long-winded answers. Now we know why.
No, it's been really tough, and I think that's the way that Steve likes to coach. And I don't know that I've met a coach that's more passionate about helping players and trying to improve players than what Steve is as well. Like, he's very, very passionate about it. So it's great to be actually training with them now, and just seeing where we go with that, But it's been really difficult. I'm just getting fed up of trying to chase after 18-year-olds who are all like whippets. I'm too slow for that now. I can't do it.
How old are you again? You're not that old, are you?
I'm 34.
Righto.
35.
Still a spring chicken.
Still a spring.
That's that, exactly.
Steve?
Cole, how is the squad looking as we start to approach the final month or so of what is kind of technically a very long pre-season?
It's looking really good, actually. Like, we've got a few new players. We've got a couple of players coming back, and we've got a few new players in as well. And one of the imports we've got, his name's August. He played at somewhat sort of professional level when he was in the States. And just seeing him at training, like, he's just switched on. He's really, really good. And then we've got a couple of people coming back, like Michael Bothwell is coming back to play as well. He had a knee injury last season early on and took the rest of the season off. But he's back to some type of fitness. He's kind of in mine and Ronnie's boat, I think, where we're getting on a bit. We'll be just sort of riding on the coattails of the younger guys. But no, the squad's looking pretty good. Everybody seems really motivated with it. It's brilliant. Training's been good. Everybody's working hard. I'm looking forward to the season when it starts. I really am. But
what about you personally, mate? I mean, I guess being on the wrong side of 30 and you admitted it, are you starting to consider life after playing? Is not that we are implying you should, hang up the boots anytime soon, but is coaching something that you'd like to pursue after you hang up those golden boots?
I've never worn golden boots in my life.
Oh, that's for a striker. That's not for a defender.
You've been a black boot defender.
I probably should have stopped playing a while ago, Tonci, to be honest. But no, listen, I've thought about it a bit. Like, I would like to do coaching. I just need to work on getting people to listen to me. If I could get that, then I might think about some type of coaching and stuff. But like, I really like the idea of it. I like the idea of helping people improve, and I like the idea of helping younger people get as much enjoyment out of football as what I've got, because it's been a massive part of my life the past 10 years, especially over here. And there's so much you can get from it, not just like the physical side of things, mentally as well. Like, I know my whole social group's through football, and I've got a few really, really good mates through football who have helped me through some really tough times. So now I'm not really thinking about, I'm just trying to take it season by season, to be honest. I think I've been saying I'm going to stop for the past 3 or 4 years, and then you just kind of get dragged back in. You speak to some of the older guys and they say, just keep playing until you can't run anymore. Well, for me, that was about 2 or 3 years ago. So I'm just going to keep trying as best I can, I suppose, and see how we go. But in terms of coaching, I'll just see how we go, mate. I'm don't have any plans to do it just yet. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
No, thanks very much.
Well, we are running out of time. So, Cole, whatever the case, whatever happens this season and beyond that, we wish you all the best, at least for this season and in the future. It's been a pleasure to chat and hear what you've had to say and open our eyes and open our minds towards the strength and conditioning side football. And I've also had some good comments coming through about your accent as well, Cole. So it's just a win-win, I think.
There you go. Well, listen, thanks very much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Awesome, guys. Thanks,
Cole.
Cole. Much appreciated, and thank you for joining us. A really insightful interview, Steve, for more ways than one. Really, the stress bit, that was very, very important. Injury prevention. Sometimes it's better than to treat the injury by preventing the injury. So we really appreciate and thank Cole for making some time. Now, we're going to have a little bit of a break. When we return straight afterwards, we are going to be speaking to a lady who certainly needs no introduction. She is not only a very, very hard-working committee member and president up at the Bell Park Sports Club, she is a very, very big humanitarian and a local community activist. Don't go away. You're tuned into the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show, Steve. And our next guest is, someone that, like I said, needs no introductions. Every year in Australia, around 254,000 people seek help from homelessness services. And at times, this is the sad part, they are turned away due to resourcing, funding, and or capacity or lack of. The CEO Sleepout is a one-night event over one of the longest and coldest nights of the year.
And on that night, hundreds of CEOs, business owners, as well as community and government leaders sleep outdoors to support the many Australians who are experiencing homelessness and people at risk of homelessness. Each CEO Sleepout participant commits to raising thousands of dollars to help Vinnies provide essential services to people who need them.
Now, last year, the Vinnies CEO Sleepout raised $7.9 million for people experiencing homelessness and people at risk of homelessness.
This year, they want to make an even bigger impact.
Now, funds raised through the 2020 Vinnies CEO Sleepout will go directly into their homeless and crisis services, providing life-saving support, guidance and education to people at risk and experiencing homelessness.
One of those people locally and someone who is heavily involved on the football scene here in Geelong is our next guest, the president of Bell Park Sports Club. A very big welcome to you, Rose Pirrottina. How are you doing?
Hey, Stephen. Hey, Tonci. How are you?
Rose, we can hear the wind. It looks cold. And we're led to believe that you're actually coming to us live from the site of where you're going to be sleeping out this Thursday. It's first of all, welcome to the show, Rose. It's great to have you on.
It's great to be on, guys. Thank you.
Now, do tell us a little bit about the CEO Sleepout, because this year it's a little bit different, but you'll be participating for the third year running later this week.
Yeah, so it's been, this is our third year in Geelong. And this year, given the circumstance of COVID, we've been asked to either sleep in our car, on a couch or in our backyard to represent the homelessness and the true living of for them. And so I've chosen to do my backyard. And I tell you, it's not that warm out here.
Oh, it looks freezing, I tell you what.
It sounds a little windy and cool, yeah.
It's cold. I think it's 10 degrees. So can you imagine what by 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, it's going to drop pretty low.
Yeah, 100%. And very long nights at the moment too as we approach the solstice. Now, what can we do as a Geelong soccer community to help homelessness, as the problem in our region is something that seems to be on the increase, I suppose? What can we do about it as a Geelong soccer community?
It's actually really quite sad, our statistics here in Geelong. And what makes me the saddest is that 20% of kids are homeless. So that means that they are, they haven't got a warm home to be in. So that as a community and as a soccer community, we can contribute by donating. And what I do is I do a program which is connecting with kids, and that's helping underprivileged kids play a sport that they love. And that's also for our soccer. So, because that will help all underprivileged kids play soccer as well. But it's not just soccer, it's other sports as well, but soccer is definitely on the cards.
Now, apologies for the wind, but I guess that's what adds the authenticity. I mean, that's what it's like. It's quite scary. And I remember, previous to, I guess, episodes, if you like, of the CEO Sleepout was held at Cardinia Park, and speaking to a few people who were involved at Cardinia Park that partook in that, they said sometimes, I remember Cameron Loftus from Barwon Sports Assembly said to me, he goes, the first year it was quite confronting because we had a person that was homeless come to us and talk to us. And he said, sometimes it's the difference between one or two bad decisions between you living a perfectly happy, healthy, comfortable existence and being left out in the cold. Recently, I think on SBS, there's a show called Filthy Rich and Homeless. Now, I haven't watched this show, but some people that have watched it have said it just really opens your eyes to the grim realities of homelessness in Australia. Rose, how important is getting raising the awareness and influencing decision makers out there? And these sort of programs like CEO Sleepout and even maybe some of the other programs on TV that are out there, how important is that to getting that awareness out there?
It's really important because it does affect, it's a spiraling effect. It comes providing for our future, our children, the education, all those sectors. It impacts all the way through from the parent right through to the child. It just doesn't stop at the parent. And what it is raising awareness. It is to try to change this. Australia, we are very, very fortunate here in Australia. So us as one community can make a difference in just putting some meals on people's plates. And that's what's the sad part about it, is that some families out there are living from day to day. And Cameron was right. The first year I remember waking up, I actually didn't sleep, to be quite honest, and it was I fell asleep for about half an hour, and then I woke up again, and it hit me. It was so cold that night. It was one of the coldest nights in June in history, and it really hit me. And I remember tears just rolling down my face because I only had to do that for one night, and I was going home to a warm bed. There are people there that do this every night, and that's what got to me. And then to realise that we have 20% of children in Geelong that do this, it just broke my heart.
And just on that show, Filthy Rich and Homeless, I binge watched that sort of series on Sunday night. And if you haven't seen it, I'd recommend getting over to SBS On Demand. Just people should go and have a look at it, because I think, as you mentioned, Tonci, maybe one or two bad decisions might lead to it. But some of the people on there, it was actually through no fault of their own that they'd end up in this situation, just an unfortunate set of family circumstances or something else, for instance. Now, Rose, should the federal government's COVID recovery package be focusing more on social housing rather than the $150,000 renovations of homes to people who are already well off?
Yeah, see, this is look, for me personally, it's a hard one to answer because it becomes, what is right, what is wrong. But for me, I can say this: we need to put more investment in the people that need it, and that's the homelessness. That's all I'm going to say, because if you've got a home and you can feed, you can put food on the table, and week to week, and you may be struggling, but you can still put food on the table. These people don't know where they're getting their next meal from. So the government needs to put some attention into that, because Australia, we shouldn't be in these circumstances. Australia is very blessed.
Yeah. Before we move on to football matters, Rose, I just want to bring everyone's attention to the address right below me. So donate to a very worthy cause, www.ceosleepout.org.au/fundraisers/Rose Pirrottina/Geelong. Now, just tell us a little bit about how much you've raised, what's your target, and I believe there's a very, very special incentive for anyone who donates today. So tell us a little bit more about that.
So far I've raised $3,500, and my target, I've already passed my target, because this year, given the circumstances of COVID, we understand that out there some people are doing it tough, and generally, we might have in the past that we might have been able to be more giving, but given the circumstances this year, so we've lowered our targets. So today, if anyone donates to the link below, I'm going to match it.
Oh, there you go. Fantastic, folks.
Wow.
So we want everyone here. We want everyone who's tuning into the show tonight and who tunes in right up until Thursday and watches the replay of this, make sure to donate. Actually, not about tomorrow. We want it tonight because it will be matched by Rose. So that is.
So yeah, match it, and I'll match every donation that comes through.
There you go. Fantastic. An absolute fantastic incentive. And we don't want to embarrass you too much, Rose, but you are also a previous winner of the Female Football Administrator of Geelong as well. So you put so much spare time into making the community a better community. So on behalf of the entire Geelong football community, thank you and congratulations on doing what you keep doing. But on to football matters now up at Batesford. How has the committee at Bell Park been handling the shutdown period? And what have you as a group been working on during this time? Or has the club just been basically forced to hibernate?
No, we haven't. We've actually, with this, we've one of the main things is that we wanted to stay connected with our community. So that was number one. We wanted to make sure that everyone was safe and that we're connected, and we communicated as much as we could, because as everyone knows, we were dictated, day by day what was happening. So that was very difficult to try to make any plans given the governance of it all. So what we did is we made sure we stayed in touch with social media, and we had Zoom, so we tried to do live meetings. We tried to keep everybody in the loop, because the unknown was scary. So as the information came through our Facebook page, our Instagram, our Zoom meetings, emails, we tried to keep our members in the loop as best as we could. The one thing that we did do with Bell Park is we did try to plan accordingly as best as we could, because we didn't know when things were lifted, what that landscape would look like.
And Rose, how was the club shaping up for season 2020 prior to the pandemic in terms of numbers of players, coaches and staff as opposed to last year and recent years?
Right. Actually, this year has been our strongest year. Our members and our participants went through the roof. So it was great to see that. So thank you to everybody out there that does support Bell Park and Geelong Soccer and all the sports club out there. Look, with us, it was looking very strong. We had more teams than what we ever had in history. So for us in soccer, it was looking great.
Now, what's the situation now? Like, are most of those players expected to return? And will Bell Park be able to field all of its teams, that it intended to once play does resume?
Yes, we're lucky, Tonci, because we've got 3 fields, as you well know. So we were able to cater for that with the restrictions. So we need to make sure that we keep everybody safe and healthy. So that's our number 1 priority, and our number 2 priority is soccer. So so what we're doing is making sure that everyone, we've got a schedule in place. So that's what we did, the planning, and making sure that the season moving forward that is sustainable, and keeping everybody and reassuring everybody that, because it is a bit scary going into, given that we were locked down and now we're going back into training and soccer and so forth. So numbers, some people have decided not to play soccer for this year.
Mm-hmm.
Understandable.
Yep, absolutely.
It's so scary. We don't know. Numbers increasing. So with that, but they haven't dropped off dramatically. And I can honestly tell you, it hasn't been, I think that so far we've only had probably 10 people that aren't returning. So that isn't a big number.
That's very good.
So by the sounds of that, Rose, the club will be able to field all of its teams that it intended to this year once play does resume? Absolutely.
Yeah, we're strategizing with the technical development group. We made sure that that's what we did, and we had a strategy in place, and we also had a schedule in place as well.
I guess off the field, Rose, given the recent investment in renovation to the social rooms at the club, which was completed, I think, at the back end of last year, has this current pandemic shutdown come at the worst time for the club? Is it a time when the club was really going gangbusters and now things are just sort of really stuffed things up?
Tonci, I don't think you could have put it any better.
What else are you going to say? You can't sugarcoat it, can you?
Straight to the point, Tonci.
Stuff that up.
Oh, that's what I can say to you. Look, to be quite honest, last year we were closed. The club rooms were closed. Let's be specific. Because of renovations, and we had a business plan in place with that, and we started off January really strong with our events. All the our pavilion being rented out. In the way of people wanting to have their functions there, because it is newly renovated. But this has done is actually put us in. It is in a very stressful situation because the income stream has stopped.
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of changes around the club to the infrastructure, what is the update on the new female-friendly improvements to change room facilities at the club?
Yeah, so we've been going, David Seekin and myself have been working very closely to try to get, everything up to scratch. And we've just, I believe that we're at the building permit. I think that's just gone ahead. So things are, looking, but, we have to really put things into perspective as well. We've had we've had these 6 months of no income. So, it may have to stretch out a little bit longer, or we may need to review that and look at our situation, because it's not easy just to come up with funds to finish a project.
No, absolutely. And everyone says we're going to go back to normality as quickly as possible, and we're going to recover and be where we were. It's going to take such a long time, and particularly things like capital works and stuff like that. It's really going to take a lot longer than we hoped for. On that note, however, Rose, wishing you all the very best for Thursday night.
Thank you.
And as well in the fundraising stakes as well. Tonight's a good practice run, but geez, it looks cold out there already. And here I am worried that my coffee has gone cold, and you're out there where it really is cold. But all jokes aside, it is a very, very worthy cause. We're imploring everyone that can. Obviously there are people that can't, and a lot of people doing it tough. But those that can, please. There's the website. Steve has also popped it in the comments section. So please get out there, help as much as you can. Any amount, big or small, is more than appreciated. And Rose, all the very best for season 2020 for Thursday night. And thank you very much for everything you continue to do for Geelong football and the Geelong community in general.
Thank you, Tonci. Thank you, Stephen, for having me. It's been a pleasure.
That was Rose Pirrottiina. That wind, normally that would be irritating us, wouldn't it? But it really adds authenticity, and it just shows you, just sometimes it brings home. And look, if you just drive down Mirabel Street now at 7 o'clock, you'll probably see, already examples of homelessness in our own community. It really, really is sad. And a massive thank you to Rose for agreeing to come onto the show and talk about that cause. And it was what did you take out of it, Steve?
Yeah, it's just fantastic that Rose has gone out there and put her hand up to make a difference. And I think it's about raising awareness. People, once they become educated about what goes on and like we said, the set of circumstances that people go through to find themselves in homelessness, and then the difficulty of breaking the cycle of getting out of it. There's a lot to deal with there. But no, fantastic work by Rose. Really, as the soccer community in Geelong can be very proud of her work. Oh, Tonci, are you still with us?
Yes, mate. Welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show, episode 44. And Steve, we've got another guest. And it's been a great show. We've really talked about a lot of social issues, and our next guest will talk about that. But there's something else he'll be talking about.
Yeah, that's right. Great trio of guests tonight, and we'll launch right into it now. Over the weekend, news broke that a local club had decided to withdraw all its teams, senior and junior, from the Geelong Region Leagues for 2020 as a result of the COVID crisis. It's a decision that will certainly and already has polarised sections of the local football community, especially in the view of relaxing of a certain restrictions by the state government this week, which paves the way for the return to community sport competition from around next month.
Yeah, the committee of the Armstrong United Football Club made it public on Sunday, and they did admit it was a difficult decision, but it was done with the safety of players and members at the forefront of their decision. To find out what the implications and the processes involved in arriving at this decision, we are joined by the president of the Pelicans, Michael Parker. Michael, great to have you back. Hello, Mick. Can you hear us? He's got some problems. Looks like we're really having problems left, right, and centre today with audio.
We've had some bad luck, yeah.
From 2020 competitions. Mike, are we there? Have we got you? Hello. Hi, Mike. We've got viewers, but we can't hear you. Maybe, Mike, if you can hear, give us a ring through, and we'll just have to put you on audio. But keep that visual happening. We'll just keep talking now. Steve, do you reckon this will be the only one that happens, or will there be more?
It's really hard to say, but from what we do know, the way that Armstrong United has gone about it by canvassing all of their club members and getting their opinion and then putting it back to the committee to make an informed decision. I have to really commend them on that. And any other clubs that are in the same frame of mind, I would imagine that that's the way that they would tackle it. And yeah, personally, I don't want to speculate on what other clubs will or won't do. What do you think? Do you have an opinion?
Tough one. Who knows? It's a difficult one. And we're going to now bring Mike. Hello, Michael. Can you hear us?
Hi, mate. Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. Steve, can you hear Michael as well?
Well, I could then, yeah.
Yeah. Mike, thanks for joining us. I know this is very, very strange. We've got the visual, but we haven't got the audio. I don't know what seems to be happening there, mate. But tell us. I mean, it was a difficult decision, obviously. But go through the decision-making process. Walk us through the process. How has the response been since going public?
It's been a long process. It started back, I guess, when restrictions were first eased a little bit, and we started looking at what we can do. We started with the committee looking at all the restrictions and what that means for our volunteers. Which is obviously very onerous on our volunteers. We're also quite concerned about having to ask our players to pay registration fees when when, we had no idea what the season was, when it would start or what it would look like. And then on top of that, there's just the health and wellbeing aspect. No one's quite sure what's happening with COVID. It looks like we're winning the war a little bit, but, if a second wave comes or kids have only just gone back to school and those sorts of things, so a number of our members weren't keen to come back.
Yeah.
The committee were probably also always cautious on that. And the survey to members certainly showed through that the majority of our players and members would rather not go ahead with the season for 2020. That doesn't mean that we're not going to be around for the year. We're just probably doing more things in club as restrictions ease, training sessions, intra-games, those sorts of things, without the need for players to register.
Steve?
And just one other thing, I suppose, with new dates being announced this week for return to contact training players, was there any chance at all that the club could change its mind and reverse the decision, perhaps for the juniors that are coming back sooner?
Not really, because the feedback from our members was that they weren't terribly keen to take that risk. And, our role as a committee is to listen to our members and our players and our parents. So we still think, the restrictions to get back to training are very onerous on volunteers. There's some grey area around duty of care and if there was an outbreak at the club, who's responsible for that? And again, asking players to register hundreds of dollars to register without any idea what's happening or what the season looks like, just especially when we had to enter teams yesterday. We had to make a decision last week.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, now on another topic, something closely connected with your professional line of work, and that's as General Manager of Read the Play here in Geelong. It is, of course, Men's Health Week this week. Have you been involved in any initiatives surrounding that this week, given your involvement in the Read the Play organisation for mental health? And it's something that's very, very, very relevant at the moment, particularly with the amount of teen suicides that have been happening in Geelong.
Not especially for Men's Health Week. As you mentioned, unfortunately, there's been a few suicides in the region in the last few weeks or the last few months, which has put a strain on a lot of people and it's been tough to deal with. So we're looking as an organisation to put some of our programs online and a mental health education program for parents, which is accessible so that they can see the signs and symptoms, what mental health looks like for their young person and how to have a conversation with them if they think they might be struggling. So we're just sort of trying to adapt a little bit because we can't do our normal operations, I guess.
And Mick, just back on the decision again to withdraw, I've seen a lot of positive comments on the sort of social media channels commending you guys for the way that you've gone about it. Has that been mainly the case? A lot of positive feedback coming your way from making a smart and sensible decision together as a committee?
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned on the intro that it was polarising the committee. We actually haven't had a single negative comment. Everyone's been really positive. Everyone's been really supportive. I don't think anyone can blame a club who's put in the welfare of their players first.
And ultimately, the club, you're accountable to your own members. So if your own members are 100% or thereabouts for it, then you certainly cannot be blamed or can't certainly be said that you're doing something wrong or whatever the case may be.
No, exactly. And I think, we're doing what's best for our club. We're not sitting here saying that the league should be cancelled. We're not saying other clubs shouldn't be involved. Every club's got to do what's best for their club. We're just saying that what's best for our club and for our members is that we're not involved this year.
Yeah, absolutely. We do really find ourselves in a tough time. I mean, just overall, socially and everything that is going on around us, society in general. Is there light at the end of the tunnel? I mean, let's be honest. How bad is the current situation? And in your opinion, both from a professional and a community involvement point of view, what needs to be done? I'm talking about just the mental health side of things, not so much COVID or the economic stimulus packages. We're talking more about the mental health side of it.
I think generally just the conversation needs to become part more of our general conversations. It needs to be more open. It needs to be spoken out more openly, both within clubs, within families, with friends. one of the things we say in our program is that if you break your leg playing football on the weekend, you wouldn't wait around to go to the doctor or to the hospital to get checked out. But mental health, for some reason, people have this feeling that they need to keep it quiet and they might not get it checked out or whatever, and wait until it's too late. So we need to start treating mental health like anything else related to physical health and getting the help we need as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve, any more questions from your end?
Oh, yeah. So what's the message, I guess, for anyone out there who is having a tough time amid the lockdown and they're finding they're not themselves? Is it just to get out there and talk to someone, or get around their mates now that they can do that a bit more? Or
yeah, definitely try and reconnect, I guess, with those social interactions. It's funny, there was anxiety that started this around being isolated and those sort of things. We're now sort of seeing the anxiety coming back the other way. The new normal is to be isolated, and now to get back into a social world, that creates some anxiety for people. So making sure you're doing things at your own pace, you're getting out there, you're doing things that work for your own mental health, whether that's going for a walk or chatting to your mates or whatever, getting down the club. If you are struggling or you're worried about yourself, make sure you get to a doctor or whoever your mental health clinician is to try and get some support.
Well, it's good to hear, mate, that Armstrong United will not be going into hibernation. Rather, it's still going to be active in an intra-club sense, and I guess herein also lies that ability to, as a small community, to be able to support its own members and be able to provide that mental health stimulation that we all need at this time of this crazy world that we find ourselves in. Mick, thanks very much for joining us. We really do appreciate you coming on at such short notice, and thank you very much for your insight, both from Armstrong United president, but also as a mental health expert in the local community.
Anytime, boys. Thanks.
Thanks very much. That was Mick Parker, the president of Armstrong United, and we did have some issues there with audio. Well, it seems we always seem to be having issues with audio, but the good thing is, we found our feet very, very quickly, and we were able to solve that problem very, very quickly as well. Mate, what a big show! We've come to the end of a huge show. We talked about a lot.
Massive, hasn't it?
Yeah, we talked about a lot of social things, didn't we? Physical and mental well-being. We talked about the problem of homelessness. And we also talked about, obviously, just there with Michael Parker, mental health, and particularly with young people. It sort of conjures up one of those most famous quotes that the great Liverpool manager Bill Shankly said: "Football is not a matter of life or death. It's more important than that." And all us Liverpudlians, Liverpool supporters, certainly believe that. But sometimes, like this episode has showed us, it's just a game, isn't it? It's just a game, and as much as it's probably the most important thing in the world as far as the game is concerned, and we love it, we can't get enough of it. There are sometimes things in life that are more important than that.
That's right. Another thing this week as well, it's Refugee Week 2020, and us being football, being the world game, we play a massive part in welcoming new arrivals to Australia who've had to flee from unfortunate circumstances, and the Geelong region is no exception to that. So as a show and as a community, the Geelong region, we do celebrate at this time all of the people who have helped facilitate people who've come in as refugees into our soccer community, and those who've come in and thrived as a result. Also, additionally, as we said earlier, Men's Health Week, there's been a lot of reports of people putting off going to the doctor amid the COVID pandemic, but it is, of course, a safe time to go and go and get checked out if you can. And as we always talk to people on the program who are very concerned about health, as we just spoke to Mick there, and particularly the guys from the Men's Summer League, they're always very passionate advocates for men's physical and mental health as well. So just a couple of things there that it's good to for awareness and celebration this week, Refugee Week and Men's Health Week both.
When we're talking about refugees, when we're talking about Refugees Week, Santino Mamoni, he's like our de facto marketing manager. He's made up a good
big shout out Santino.
Shout out to Santino, and he's made a really good point. I'm going to actually bring this up on on the screen. He says Mario Gregorio tags Mario, the Corio Soccer Club president, and mentions the Afghan kids. Mario Gregorio phoned in last Sunday on the football fan zone, our talkback program every Sunday night on 7 p.m. And he does some amazing things at Corio Soccer Club, the Corio Soccer Club president. But that is one club that has done quite a fair bit. And there are other clubs as well. I'm not going to certainly denigrate any other clubs, but Corio have done quite a lot in recent years with a lot of the Afghani kids, the refugees there, and they continue to do that. So
Corio Bay is another one as well.
Corio Bay is another one, absolutely, yeah. I believe Colac has done some things in recent years as well. So it's great to see, and football is that vehicle that can really do that. Now, next week, do not join us on Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Join us on Monday night at 7 p.m. We look forward to a new night, a new time slot, and being on a night when it isn't a training night. In the meantime, folks, show your support and become a member of the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Down here, visit the following website, www.patreon.com/Geelong Region Soccer Show. Big shout out to Joe Pino. He's our inaugural #1 ticket holder. He's our gold VIP member. Thank you so much to Joe. And let's have a few more members join up before next week. But Steve, enjoy the week. Have a great week. And thank you for being a part of yet another bumper edition of the Geelong Region Soccer Show, episode 44.
Thanks again, Tonci, and thanks everyone tuning in at home. Have a great week.
Good night.